Joining us right now to talk more about that is Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, good to see you.
Good morning. So you could actually add to all of that the testimony yesterday of FBI Director Chris Wray, who refused to use the word spying and very precisely, I think, said, I have no evidence of spying. And Senator Shaheen, in my view, should have followed up and said, well, you're the head of the FBI. You're not the collector of evidence. Does the FBI have any evidence of spying? But she stopped right there. He's not choosing to use the same word that Bill Barr did.
That's ridiculous.
It is, and it's upsetting to me because we are entitled to know the truth. Eventually, you know, the truth will come out, but people suffer during the time that it takes for it to come out. As for the Bill Barr thing, I wish they wouldn't hold him in contempt. I mean, it's a painful, irritating thing, but it doesn't have a long-term effect. The Republicans held Janet Reno in contempt. They held Eric Holder in contempt. Didn't affect their legal careers, and I doubt it cost them any sleepless nights, but it's just not necessary. These things should be resolved. There is a profound public interest in hearing from Bob Mueller and knowing why he came to his conclusions, and there shouldn't be threats, executive privilege here, contempt over there, as a means to bring it about.
Let me just point out the obvious, and that is that Jerry Nadler, if he wants to look at all the redactions and unredact them, he can do that right now.
Almost all, but you know, the ones that he
can look at everything. First of all, the report is out, and he's the chairman of Judiciary. He could look at everything. He doesn't want to.
Well, then,
he wants to have a show.
He wants more than to look at it. He wants it in the public domain so that they can ask about it. Now, we know the type of things that are redacted. And in fairness to the Attorney General, I would like to see more, but he has to obey the law.
See,
the law tells him what to redact.
I don't think he really cares about seeing anything. I just think he wants to have a show, and he wants to make it look like the Attorney General did something wrong, which we all know he did not.
Mitch McConnell
It's about Schmidt. It's not about impeachment, because he's not going to have the guts to do it, because Nancy Pelosi's put the hammer down on it, because she knows he's a political loser. It's about a spectacle.
Right.
I call it Schmidt. So he's going to try and
tar. This word,
But Judge, isn't
but that's what it's about. He's not going to go after Bob Mueller. Oh my God, the golden child. He's not going to. He can't go after Horowitz. You know who appointed Horowitz as the Inspector General? President Obama.
Yeah. Correct. Well, Mike Horowitz has respect on both sides of the aisle.
They don't want him to do this investigation. We all know what the report
comes out.
We all know what the Steele dossier did. The Wall Street Journal's out with a good piece this morning. Watchdog probes FBI reliance on the dossier and surveillance of the Trump aides. This is about the Michael Horowitz report coming out. It says that the Justice Department is looking into whether the agency continued surveillance of former Trump aide Carter Page while the dossier's credibility was being questioned. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham spoke out about that last night on Hannity. Here's what he said.
We should all be concerned if our government's getting a warrant against American citizen under the FISA Surveillance Act without accurate information. We know that without the dossier, the warrant would not have been issued. We now know that the author of the dossier, Christopher Steele, was on the payroll of the Democratic Party. He was not a reliable informant for the FBI. He was trying to destroy Trump because he's paid by the Democrats to take Trump down. They knew all of this, or should have known all this, before they applied for the warrants. Somebody needs to go to the FISA court and tell them that the FBI had plenty of notice that this guy was on the payroll of the Democratic Party and he was out to get Trump, and the dossier was not verified.
Senator, I would take Senator Graham's very astute comments one step further. FISA needs to be reformed. FISA judges need to examine the evidence that comes before them to induce them to grant a search warrant the way I did, the way judges, the way normal judges do, where the standard is probable cause of crime. The standard is not gossipy communications with foreign people. That standard is unconstitutional, and it's too easy to grant a search warrant.
Well, tell that to Carter Page and George Papadopoulos, who already have been spied on.
Right.
And they had all of this Steele dossier as the evidence to get the warrant to spy on them. We've known this for 2 years, Judge.
Yeah.
Give me a break. I mean, this is all what I've been saying for 2 years.
Agreed. It's hard for somebody to disagree with the way you just summarized it. Except that Chris Wray did yesterday. Maybe because he institutionally feels he's got to defend the FBI no matter what they do?
No. What's his game? Because he's been really squirrely on this from the get-go. What's his game?
You're talking about Director Wray?
Yes.
I don't know, Steve, and I agree. I didn't use the word squirrely, but I think that's an Arkansas phrase, though, squirrely, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much.
But well, he's a country boy from horse country in New Jersey. I think you're onto something.
You know,
and we will know what his game is when Mike Horowitz's report comes.
But Judge, this is a distraction, isn't it? A distraction to try to keep the attention off of the civil liberties violations of many American citizens. Yes. A conspiracy, a cover-up, and a coup d'etat attempt. That's what it was.
Institutionalized by FISA, which over a course of 40 years continued to lower its standard and make it easier to grant search warrants, to the point where FBI agents became corrupted, soft form of corruption, knowing they couldn't get a search warrant from an Article III judge to start a criminal investigation because they lacked probable cause. FISA will give you a search warrant at the drop of a hat, so you start your criminal investigation through FISA.
Let's not forget that the spying went on way before the FISA warrant came out. And I had George Papadopoulos on the program on Sunday, and we went through exactly what happened over the months of March, April, and May of 2016, when all of these intel people from Britain, Australia, the U.S.,
yes.
Italy were reaching out to him.
Yes.
They were spying on him. And you know what I think is really detrimental in all of this? Because of the way this cabal of people abuse their power at the top of the FBI and at the top of the DOJ, we are now seeing everything that the FBI does in terms of its sources and methods, which really is not what the broad public should understand. Now we understand the FBI has sources all over the world. They're using informants to reach out. They reached out to him on LinkedIn to get him a job so that they could watch him. Then when he quit, I'm talking Papadopoulos, he said, I'm quitting in March. They said, wait. Before you quit, let us spend $5,000 to send you on a trip to Rome.
Yes.
Who does that?
Yeah.
You're quitting, and then they say, wait, don't quit yet. We want to send you to Rome because there's really important people for you to meet there, so that he could meet this guy, Mifsud. And Mifsud drops the bomb in his lap by saying Russians have Hillary Clinton's emails.
Papadopoulos was on Fox Nation with us yesterday, and we went through the scenario remarkably similar to what you
Well, that's because it's the story. It's
correct,
not a...
which you just described. But here's what I would add to it, and it's not only from Papadopoulos, it's from texts that came out over the weekend by Peter Strzok, of all people. Intelligence community people were involved.
Yeah.
I think that's why the Attorney General used the word spying, because it was people that he doesn't control or regulate. The NSA and other intelligence entities were involved in this.
But Bill Barr said that in the testimony. He said that it does also involve intelligence agencies. He was very specific about that.
And that is going to open up a substantial can. That's going to open up a substantial can of worms.
Here's the big issue. Sit on it, right?
Wait, here's the big issue. Why don't the Democrats give a damn? Because if it happened to the Republicans, it'll happen to them.
Correct.
If these abuses of power are allowed.
Correct.
And you know what? They don't care, because they were the ones pushing this entire false narrative from the beginning, and because that dossier was paid for by Hillary Clinton.
So
they misled the FISA court by not telling them that.
Right.
So from my perspective, the FBI is regulated by the Fourth Amendment. If they violate the Fourth Amendment, their evidence is useless. The intelligence community takes the position it is not regulated by the Fourth Amendment, can spy on anybody for any reason, any length of time, and can extract whatever information it gets and use it.
Well, you can in a counterintelligence probe,
if it's a genuine counterintelligence
but it
probe,
wasn't.
not a effort to destroy a candidacy.
I'm so happy it's all coming out. I can't tell you. It's just, let the truth be told, what's going on. Anybody on both sides of the aisle should be outraged by what took place in 2016.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Judge Andrew Napolitano, thank you.